Happy Father's Day to all the dads who are joining us for this talk. You know, your role as a father is one of the most challenging and most vital roles in all of culture. Thank you very much for taking your responsibility to fill this role well. As I start this talk today, I recognize that I've been blessed in two ways. First, I was raised by a father who took his responsibility as a parent seriously and who did the job of parenting well. My father, who at 88 years old is still an active part of our church congregation, he provided me with a childhood of love, support, and limits. And he taught me the important things in life, like how to work hard, how to establish and keep a good name, how to realize what was really important in life, how to stay loyal to relationships and to communities, and how to live a life in which God was at the center. I love you very much, Dad, and I'm grateful for your life. I realize I've also been blessed to be a father. I've had the privilege of raising three children of my own, Nathan, Ansley, and Bria, all of whom I could not be more proud of. They are each so beyond me in their insight, their understanding, and their accomplishments. I look at all they've done with their lives thus far. My oldest Nathan is 32, and my youngest Bria is 26, and Ansley's right in the middle at 29. And I simply marvel at what they've done and accomplished. Second only to my marriage, they are the greatest joys of my life. As a father, I've also been blessed to have a small part in raising two other children, Kirsten and Anna, who each became a part of our family during their teenage years. They are both incredible and highly accomplished young women who've taught me much about overcoming adversity, living with tenacity, and seizing the opportunities that God places before us. Both of these girls have overcome challenges that would have defeated many of us, and they are both living boldly into the lives God has prepared for them. Now, I'd like to think that my role as a dad had some part in all these children's successes. And I say that not in any way as a statement of pride or boasting, although I will gladly boast about all five of these kids. I make this statement rather as a way of underscoring the vital role fathers play in raising successful children. A role that I'm afraid is often minimized, understated, or not fully realized by our culture. I thought I'd use this occasion to reflect back on some things I've learned about being a father. Most of these things I learned from my own father, although it took the experience with my own children to fully understand some of them. I offer them to you today as a way of encouraging, inspiring, and helping all the fathers who are listening become even better dads. So here are 6 ideas or suggestions I would put in a letter to me as a younger father. First is this: raise them to leave. Raise them to leave. In his groundbreaking book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, author Stephen Covey pointed out that successful people begin with the end in mind. Successful parents do also. Our goal as parents, moms and dads, is to raise our children to be independent, responsible, and successful adults. Our goal from day one is to prepare them to fly from the nest. From the start, we are raising them to leave. This is a challenging perspective to embrace, yet it's the only perspective that can truly guide a successful approach to parenting. If, as a father, I'm not continually asking when they're 5 and 9 and 16, how can I prepare them to leave? Then the chances are when they're 18 or 22 or 30, they won't be ready to leave. So from the start, regularly ask yourself, am I preparing them to leave? And again, this work starts when they're 3 and 4, not 18 and 19. And I think this work requires us to do two basic things. First, it requires a constant cheering on of our children, cheering them on into new opportunities. As fathers, it's our role and responsibility to continuously inspire our children to move into new experiences and environments. We do this even when we're secretly terrified of the thought of them stepping out of their present comfort zone. We as parents, we're always giving encouraging nudges onward, forward. Yes, you can do that. That would be an awesome opportunity. I think you should give that a try. But in this continuous pushing them out of the nest, it's important that we also give them a soft place to land when they step out and become disillusioned or wounded or fail. This soft place to land is not necessarily the couch in your basement. It's instead your love, your understanding, and your reassurance that you can go out there again. The struggle we have with letting our children go, with encouraging them forward, with nudging them to move beyond, it's a natural and understandable struggle. But to fail to overcome this natural struggle probably reveals something missing in us that our children cannot and should not be asked to replace. So as fathers, let's raise our children to leave. And let's deal with whatever may exist inside of ourselves that would prevent us from encouraging, helping, challenging, and even insisting that they move beyond. The second thing I would say to my younger self as a parent is parent with love and limits. Parent with love and limits. Love and limits, our children need both of them. Often, we give them one or the other. Choosing to become a father obligates us to unconditionally love our children. When you choose to become a parent, you make a choice to unconditionally love the child you'll bring into this world. This choice is not optional. God, the Father, is the model of this unconditional love. We'll never match His standard, but He is the ideal. So if you want to know how to act as a father toward your children, consider how God acts as a father towards you. What God the Father shows us about unconditional love is that love needs to be both modeled and communicated. Modeled and communicated. We love our children by the way we act toward them and by the things we do for them. We're always acting in their best interests, and we're always doing things on their behalf to promote their well-being and success. We make sure our children are well fed and appropriately clothed and have a ride to their baseball game as an act of love. But we also tell our children we love them. We use words. We say, I love you, and we write, I love you, because words matter. Don't think my kids will know I love them because of what I do for them. Love requires actions and words, which is why God the Father both told us He loved us and demonstrated His love for us in the person and work of Jesus Christ. With words and deeds, as fathers, we are obligated to show our children unconditional love. but we're also obligated to raise them with limits. My observation over the past few decades is that many dads are doing really well with the love thing. I see dads using the words and doing the things that would assure their children that they are unconditionally loved, and that is great to see. But sometimes we think that raising our children in a loving way implies that we are to avoid setting limits on their behavior or actions, specifically as it relates to their behavior that affects other people. I'm afraid we've erroneously assumed that to be a loving, supportive, and encouraging parent means we're always prioritizing the interests, desires, and dispositions of our children over and above all else, even over the interests, desires, and dispositions of other people. So little Johnny is sometimes allowed to inconvenience, disrupt, or annoy others because we think to limit his actions would be seen somehow as discouraging his free expression or harming his self-image or treating him in an unloving way. But raising our children with love requires that we teach our children to love other people, which involves teaching them to exercise proper courtesy, manners, and respect toward other people. This will often require us to actively limit their actions and behaviors. So, Johnny, you can't get up in the middle of the band concert to go out and get a drink of water, because that is disrespectful to the people on stage who are performing. We're going to limit your actions as an expression of love. Or Susie, we wait until everyone has been served dessert and the hostess takes the first bite before we start eating our dessert, because we want to show respect and love toward the person who prepared this meal. Davy, you may not interrupt when another person is speaking to me, because that is discourteous both to them and to me, so I will not allow you to do it. Raising our children with love requires raising them with limits. We're not loving our children if we allow them to be ill-mannered, disrespectful, and discourteous people. So raise your children, raise them with love and limits. The third thing I would say to the younger me is teach your children the basics. The responsibility to teach our children the basic skills they need for life, the skills they need to leave, that responsibility rests with us as parents. And I think fathers have a unique opportunity to teach many of these skills. Do your children know how to shake hands with someone with a firm grip and a clear look in their eye? If not, teach them. Do they know how to be successful on a job with basics like showing up 10 minutes early, anticipating what the boss might need next, or moving with energy and a smile? If they don't know these things, teach them. Do they know how to create a budget, how to open a bank account, how to mail a letter? It's our job as parents to teach these things. How about how to change the oil in a car, check the tire pressure, or detail the exterior and the interior? What about cooking a meal, doing a load of wash, ironing a shirt? Now you may be saying, I don't know how to do some of those things. So learn, and then teach your children. I always wanted my children to be so well-rounded that they would be able to do everything from changing the oil in their car to being able to confidently order from the wine list in a fine restaurant. Well, I knew how to change the oil in a car, so I could teach them that. But I didn't know anything about wine, so I bought a book. It was before the internet existed. I learned about wine for myself, and then I taught them. How else will our children learn the basics? Fathers, don't depend on the school or the church or their mom to teach them all these things. You teach them, even if you have to learn or relearn some of them yourself. Teach them the basics. Number 4, I'd say to my younger self, remember, little ears are listening. Your children are always watching and listening. So think carefully about what they're learning from what they see, and maybe more importantly, from what they hear. I'd sometimes find myself in a conversation with someone else that could be appropriately nuanced and put in perspective and understood by another adult, but which would communicate a whole different message to a child who is hearing me talk. How do your children hear you talk about other people? And what is it teaching them about how they should view and perhaps treat those other people? If you're always referring to your neighbor as that idiot, then certainly in your child's mind, there's no reason to treat that idiot with kindness or respect. There's certainly no need to love that neighbor as Jesus calls us to love ourselves. In this political season, what do you say about politicians or public figures that your children hear and you dismiss as just politics or just talk or just blowing off steam, but which your children are taking very concretely as the way to think about, talk about, and treat people whose political views you don't agree with? What do they hear you say about your job or your boss that is forming a perspective in them about how they should view work or a future employer? What do they hear you say about their mom, their siblings, people they have come to believe are family and friends? What do they hear you say about them? How do you speak about them in conversation with them and in conversation with others about them? You may think of it as just talk, but remember, the words your child hears from you are incredibly formative in the creation of their world and life view. Now, as dads, we won't always be perfect in this, but we must be thoughtful. And when we haven't been thoughtful with our words, it's imperative to circle back with the words, I know you heard me say, but I shouldn't have said that. Because little ears are always listening. 2 more. Give them a spiritual legacy. You know, if you really love your children, help them become aware of the God whose child they are. The greatest gift in life that we can give our children is a spiritual legacy. Fathers have a pivotal role in the creation of and the passing on of this legacy. It's a shame that so many men seem passive, reluctant, or uninterested in ensuring a spiritual heritage for their children. You may not love yourself enough to consistently engage in spiritual practices, but I hope you love your children enough to engage in those practices with them and for them. Because a spiritual legacy is the greatest gift you can give a child. So, go to church, read your Bible, pray each day. Let them see you doing those things. Bring them to McLean Kids, involve them in serving. Don't make these things optional or matters of convenience, because the way a child learns the importance of such practices is through consistency. The way a spiritual legacy is built is through routine and rhythm. Now, I hope you consistently engage in spiritual practices because you understand their vital importance for your life. But if you don't see things that way, at least engage consistently in those practices for your children's sake. And one further piece of advice that my observations over the years call me to challenge you to. If you're raising children, don't start switching from church to church. Don't teach your children a consumer approach to spirituality. Don't teach them that when you have a problem or disagreement or encounter something you don't like, you just walk away from relationships and communities. Don't teach them that their connection to God's family is no different from your connection to a retailer like Giant Eagle or Wegmans. Spirituality is not a consumer commodity, so don't do things that would present it in their eyes in that way. Consistency and commitment, they're the foundation on which a spiritual legacy is built. Give that legacy to your children. Finally, I would say to my younger and present self, remember, you are always a dad. Once a dad, always a dad. Once a father, always a father. The job doesn't stop when your children turn 18. I'm convinced that we always need fathers in our lives. At 58 years old, I still need my 88-year-old dad. Our children will always need us. Now, the role changes from the time they're 5 till the time they're 25, but the role and responsibility is still very real. As our children grow, they need us as mentors and they need us as fans. They need fathers who will continue to cheer them on and celebrate their successes. The excitement with which we celebrated their preschool graduations is now transferred to celebrating their first jobs or buying their first houses. And our children need us as fathers to be mentors. Even though we'll often feel surpassed by our children in terms of their knowledge and accomplishments, our kids will always need us to say things like, I remember when I was trying to buy my first house and it was tough to get financing. Or I remember that stretch when I hated to go to work every day, but this is how I made it through. Or I know it's hard to keep up with all the things that have to be done when you're trying to get all the kids to bed every night. But hang in there. Mentors share their experiences. They tell their stories. They share their successes and their failures, and they offer their understanding. Our children will always need their dads. They'll always need us to be mentors and fans. Are you filling that role for your adult children? To be a father is one of the greatest opportunities and responsibilities a man will ever have. To you who have undertaken that responsibility, thank you. You are changing the world, truly changing the world, by raising your children to be responsible, successful, and independent adults. You won't do the task perfectly, but you can do the task well. As you realize the incredible opportunity that you've been given, and as you rely on God to help you. May God, the Father, inspire you and empower you to be a good dad. And remember, while you raise your children to leave, your influence and importance in their lives will never end. Happy Father's Day.